Hello everyone, and welcome to today's Advective Weather video. Today we're going to be talking about a comprehensive guide on how you can remain prepared for severe thunderstorms, no matter the time of year. Let's talk about severe weather climatology now. This is where severe storms are most common, given the time of year. However, a disclaimer before we look at this: severe storms are possible anywhere, at any time of year in the United States. This is just where they end up being the most common. Let's start with the winter months. That's December, January, and February. We have severe thunderstorms most likely in an area known as Dixie Alley in the southeastern United States. As we head into the spring months, we would go into classic Tornado Alley, or the plains, and the southeast also remains vulnerable, although that risk area does move north-south. As we head into the summer months, it's the northern plains and the upper Midwest that are the most vulnerable. And then as we head into the fall months, we'll see that the most vulnerable areas end up kind of reverting back to the original spring vulnerability areas, those being the plains, but especially the southeast. That's severe weather climatology, and now that you know where these storms are most common, let's now talk about what a severe thunderstorm is. So, firstly, what classifies a severe thunderstorm? If a storm has winds greater than 58 miles per hour, hail at or greater than 1 inch in diameter, or the possibility of tornadoes, it is deemed a severe thunderstorm. It should be noted that lightning and flooding are not deemed severe qualities of a thunderstorm and do not warrant severe thunderstorm warnings. However, these hazards are dangerous, and flood warnings are also something to keep an eye on that go over the specific hazard of flash flooding. Let's talk about the three main steps that we have here in order to plan for severe thunderstorms: plan, prepare, and act. Let's start with the first thing: plan. First things first, you need to make your plan now, and you should consider the following while you do it. First thing is first, do you have multiple ways to get weather alerts? There are many ways to do this, some of them including, but not limited to, emergency alerts being enabled on your phone, the emergency alert system that you'll find on your TV, a NOAA weather radio, and the FEMA app, which can be downloaded on Android and iOS devices. It should be noted that I didn't list outdoor warning sirens, and while these are useful for a limited amount of people, these are not a surefire way to get weather alerts. Therefore, the ways I listed before to get weather alerts are more viable. Next thing to consider: what are your sheltering locations? During a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning, you're likely going to be looking at something like the lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room. However, if you're in a flood warning, you're going to want to get to higher ground, so make sure that you're aware of your sheltering locations depending on the hazard of the thunderstorm. The next thing to consider: what's your communication plan? Communication plans are somewhat difficult to formulate, as it's a way that you and your family can make sure that you guys are up to date and informed with severe weather, no matter the time of year. Therefore, if one of you gets a severe weather alert, you can inform the rest of your family about it. You can get an information sheet together for a communication plan at ready.gov/plan-form. The next thing to consider is the supplies you're going to need during a severe thunderstorm. Do you have an emergency preparedness kit? It includes the following. Firstly, you need 1 gallon of water per person per day for several days. This is used for both sanitation and drinking in the event that you don't have immediate access to water after a severe thunderstorm strikes. You need several days worth of non-perishable food. This is canned food and food with preservatives, things that'll last a while without refrigeration or freezing. Do you have a NOAA weather radio? This was suggested when we talked about ways to get weather alerts. However, it is also extremely critical that you have a weather radio post-storm in order to stay informed for weather alerts, as that's the only thing that you can guarantee will still work. Even when the power is knocked out, your NOAA weather radio is still going to function. Do you have a flashlight? This is going to be important, especially if you are covered in debris from a tornado, or debris from a tornado is obstructing you from seeing what's going on around you. Do you have a first aid kit? If someone gets injured, it's imperative that you treat that injury as soon as possible, as first responders may not be able to show up for quite some time due to debris that has been placed by the thunderstorm. Do you have extra batteries? AA's and AAA's are suggested from ready.gov. However, I think personally that some 9 volts aren't a bad idea either. As long as you have ways to keep your stuff powered on for an extended period of time, you can ensure that you'll be safe and okay. Do you have a whistle? This sounds rather strange, but if you're trapped under debris, it's important to have a way to whistle for help. Do you have a dust mask? This is another important thing. If you've gone through a strong to violent tornado, there's going to be dust everywhere, things that the tornado's picked up, and the air around you is going to be unsettled. This will filter the air and ensure that you can remain healthy while beginning recovery efforts. Do you have a cell phone with chargers and a backup battery? This is all very important. You want to ensure that your smartphone is capable of remaining on so that way you have a way to communicate with other people when service comes back. For detailed information on an emergency supply kit, go to ready.gov/kit. Next thing here, this is something that isn't mentioned as often, but is still important. Make sure to check and understand your insurance policies. Home insurance, auto insurance. Your insurances are extremely important as they're going to be the ones responsible for helping you during your recovery efforts. Make sure that your plan covers disasters such as tornadoes, large hail, and wind damage. Something else that's important, and I also think is just good life advice, is saving those critical documents. It can be household identification documents, financial and legal documents, medical documents, emergency information documents, valuables, and priceless personal items. You want to protect all of these things, and here are a few ways to do so. Make sure that you make copies of your documents. Therefore, you can keep your originals in a safe and have the copies in case anyone needs to see them. And be sure to scan your documents into a phone as well. That way, if you do lose your copies and your original documents, you'll at least have a way to show people that the documents did exist. During a thunderstorm, severe or not, lightning tends to be a hazard. Be sure to buy surge protectors, lightning rods, and things of that nature to protect your home from power surges, so that way your appliances and electronics don't get broken from the thunderstorm. Be sure to plan with your neighbors. That way, if one of you gets injured or something serious happens, the others can be there to help. You also can encourage other people to make a plan by leading by example. Now that you've finished the plan stage, it's time to start preparing. You're going to want to start preparing as thunderstorm season rolls around, and when severe thunderstorms are more likely. The first thing you can do, and do all the time, is remain weather aware. You can check places like the National Weather Service, or weather.gov, the Storm Prediction Center, or spc.noaa.gov, and the Weather Prediction Center, which is wpc.ncep.noaa.gov. These are the websites of the official weather agencies of the United States predicting rapidly changing real-time weather events for the general public. If you check these websites, you'll be aware of when severe weather, flash flooding, and thunderstorms are on the way. Let's talk about each of these websites and the help that they can give you. When you go to weather.gov, you'll be presented with their homepage. There will be a map with active alerts on it. Find where you are on the map and click where you are on the map. From there, you'll see your local weather forecast office. You can get weather forecast information, and the Weather Service will release special statements whenever hazardous weather is on the way. This is a fantastic way to stay weather aware. If you go to the Storm Prediction Center's website, you'll notice on the homepage that there are outlooks for both fire weather and severe thunderstorms. For the purpose of this video, we will just talk about severe thunderstorms. However, a fire weather preparation video will be coming later this year. So, let's talk about their severe weather outlook. This is going to be your best friend during severe weather season. If you are within a light green shade, that means that you are in a general thunderstorm risk. This means that severe weather is not expected, although these thunderstorms are still going to be capable of producing gusty winds and perhaps small hail. If you're in a darker green, you're in a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk for severe thunderstorms. This means that isolated severe storms are possible, with damaging winds, severe hail, and maybe even a brief tornado being a possibility. This is similar to storms that your area may experience quite a few times per year. It's nothing out of the ordinary, but you still want to make sure that you're remaining weather aware. If you're in the level 2 out of 5, the slight risk, that means that isolated to scattered severe storms are expected, and a few severe storms could be significant. This is similar to storms that your area may experience a few times per year. Again, this isn't out of the ordinary, and it's a somewhat standard severe weather risk for much of the plains in the southern United States during the spring. However, this should still be taken seriously, as damaging and dangerous weather has still occurred within a slight risk. The level 3 out of 5, or enhanced risk, is in orange. This is when scattered to numerous severe storms are expected, and there's high confidence that these storms will contain damaging winds, severe hail, and tornadoes. Several of these severe storms could be particularly intense. This is similar to intense storms that your area may only experience once or twice per year, so it's a somewhat higher risk, and this is when you really need to start paying attention. The level 4 out of 5, moderate risk. This is when there's high confidence that numerous storms will contain damaging winds, severe hail, and tornadoes. Several of these storms are likely to be particularly intense, and these are similar to intense storms that your area may only experience once per year or less. This is a serious risk and one where you really need to pay attention to the weather. The level 5 out of 5, the high risk. This is an extremely rare risk category only issued by the Storm Prediction Center on average once per year, if not less. Numerous severe thunderstorms are expected, and a tornado outbreak or widespread damaging wind event is the expectation from the Storm Prediction Center. These are very intense storms that your area may only experience once or twice in a lifetime. This is where it's most common to get your particularly intense tornadoes, your very large hail, and your strongest winds. Pay attention to the Storm Prediction Center convective outlooks throughout the spring months to make sure that you're prepared for severe thunderstorms. The final place we'll talk about today is the Weather Prediction Center. The Weather Prediction Center has a variety of things that can help you with determining your risk for hazardous weather. You'll be greeted with an overview when you go to the homepage of the Weather Prediction Center, giving you an idea of all hazardous weather risks, whether it be wind, severe storms, flooding, fire weather, or winter weather. The most useful product for today's video when it comes to thunderstorms is their excessive rainfall outlook. This outlook has 4 tiers in similar naming to the Storm Prediction Center. Firstly is your level 1 out of 4. This is a marginal risk of excessive rainfall. This means that isolated flash floods are possible. A slight risk is a level 2 out of 4. This is when scattered flash flooding is possible. This is when you really need to raise an eyebrow and make sure that you're remaining weather aware. If you're in a moderate risk, level 3 out of 4, that means that numerous flash floods are likely, and these could be significant, with many streams flooding and larger rivers also being affected. And finally, the level 4 out of 4, a high risk. This is just as serious as the Storm Prediction Center's high risk, although it's for flooding instead of severe storms. Flooding statistically kills more people than severe thunderstorms. Therefore, it's just as important to pay attention to the excessive rainfall outlook as the Storm Prediction Center's convective outlook when evaluating your risk for hazardous weather. I also want to go over weather alerts, as these are going to be extremely important to ensuring that you know what to do when you're put in a given weather alert. If you're in a watch for tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, or flooding, that means that hazard is possible and conditions are favorable. However, it's not imminent. A tornado watch means that conditions are favorable for thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes. A severe thunderstorm watch means that thunderstorms are in a favorable environment to produce severe hazards. And a flooding watch means that conditions are favorable for flooding to occur. However, that is not imminent. If you are put in a severe thunderstorm, tornado, or flood warning, it is imperative that you act to protect your life and property. We'll talk about that in the act stage soon. Severe thunderstorm, tornado, and flash flood warnings have different tiers to them for the severity of the given situation. A severe thunderstorm warning has its base tier, meaning that 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts or 1-inch hail is currently occurring with the storm. There is then an upgrade to a considerable damage threat. This is when severe thunderstorms have hail up to the size of golf balls, or wind speeds up to 70 miles per hour, or perhaps higher. Finally, there are destructive severe thunderstorms. These are thunderstorms with hail the size of baseballs and winds in or excess of 80 miles per hour. Tornado warnings have a similar system with 4 tiers. You have your base tornado warning, which is given for radar-indicated rotation. This is when there's no confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but radar indicates rotation strong enough that one could form at any time. Then, you have an observed tornado warning, meaning that a tornado is confirmed on the ground. This can either be confirmed through Doppler radar products or through trained storm spotters. Then, we get into our more serious tornado warnings. The next upgrade is a particularly dangerous situation. If you are in a tornado warning with the wording particularly dangerous situation, that means a large, damaging, dangerous tornado is on the ground that the Weather Service believes is of considerable threat to life and property. If you're in a tornado emergency, these are extremely rare and only used in the most dire of situations. If you find yourself in a warning that has the wording of tornado emergency, That means the Weather Service believes there is a catastrophic threat to life and property in the path of the tornado. Flash flood warnings have similar wording, with considerable and catastrophic damage tags as well. You have your base flash flood warning, which can either be a radar-indicated one or using storm spotter reports. If it's upgraded to considerable, that means it's a particularly dangerous situation. Flash flooding is ongoing and could be dangerous. If you're upgraded to a catastrophic damage tag, this is known as a flash flood emergency. It means that a catastrophic flood is either ongoing or about to occur. Alright, now that you know how to stay weather aware, let's talk about what to do when it's forecast that severe weather is going to strike your area. First things first, execute your plan. Buy those products. Do you have those extra batteries? Do you have that NOAA weather radio? Do you have that first aid kit? If you say no to anything in your plan, this is the time to purchase it. Be sure to go over your safe places, your sheltering locations, to ensure that if you're in a warning, you can act quickly. Again, ensure you have multiple ways to get weather alerts. Do you have your smartphone weather alerts on? Do you have that NOAA weather radio? Do you have broadcast media to turn to? Be sure to test that communication plan. Text family and friends to let them know that severe weather is on the way, so that way they can start preparing as well. Finally, while it may sound somewhat trivial, don't forget about other things, such as your pets. They're very important to you, and we know this, so we want to make sure that you're planning for them too. Alright, now that you've planned and prepared, it's time to act during the weather event. If you're in a thunderstorm that's non-severe, do the following. If thunder roars, get indoors. This is a classic phrase by the Weather Service, but it's one that bears merit. If you hear thunder outside, that means that lightning could strike you at any time, as lightning can strike up to 20 miles away from a thunderstorm. If there is no immediate shelter nearby, a vehicle with a roof also works. Stay tuned to weather alerts and avoid using electronic devices which require an outlet, as this could be dangerous. Be sure to avoid running water as well, and turn around, don't drown. If you see a flooded roadway, be sure not to drive into it. After a thunderstorm, ensure that you are paying attention to authorities and weather forecasts to ensure that you're in the clear. Watch for fallen power lines and trees as well. If you're put in a tornado warning, it's time to do the following. Immediately go to your safe place. This is going to be the lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room. Cars are no longer going to work. Mobile homes are no longer going to work. These safe places are no longer safe in the event of a tornado. They're death traps. You want to be in the lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room, preferably in a bathroom or a closet. Be sure that you're paying attention to your emergency alert system, weather radio, and other ways you can get alerts. Protect yourself from flying debris in the following ways. Cover your head and neck. Wear a helmet of some sort if you have to. Wrap yourself in bed sheets and put yourself under a mattress. These are all great ways to protect yourself. Bring shoes with you that are thick-soled for after a tornado in order to ensure that if there's a lot of debris, you can walk through it. Cars and mobile homes are no longer an option. Do not try to outrun the tornado in a vehicle. This can be a very bad idea. Tornadoes can move at greater than 80 miles per hour in extreme cases. Do not attempt to outrun a tornado. After a tornado occurs, be sure to avoid debris from it, as debris causes most deaths from tornadoes either during or after. And be sure to stay safe during cleanup. Watch for live power lines, flooded roadways, and gas leaks as well. If you're put under a flash flood warning, first things first, listen to local authorities. If you're told to evacuate, you need to do so, and you need to do so as quickly as possible. Listen to your emergency alert system, NOAA weather radio, and other forms of weather coverage. Do not walk, swim, or drive in flood water. Do not get anywhere near it for that matter. You want to stay off bridges over fast-moving water, as bridges can structurally fail under such stress. Stay in your car if trapped in rapidly moving water. Get on the roof if water is rising in the car. Get to the highest level of a building, and get on the roof if you absolutely have to. Do not climb into a closed attic, as these can be death traps for flooding. If water manages to make it into the attic, it's going to be difficult to find a way out. If you're in a flood warning, avoid driving if possible. And afterwards, pay attention to your local authorities. There are also a variety of unaccounted for safety risks that we hope you take into consideration. Animals could be in your house that weren't there before. Mold and other debris could trigger lung and immune conditions. An electrocution risk is there if water is touching something else with live electricity. Gas-powered machinery should also be used outdoors and away from windows. Thank you so much for watching this video. We here at Advective Weather hope that it was informative and comprehensive. Remember, it's time to plan, prepare, and then act as severe weather season comes around. Be sure to stay safe out there. If you want to be even more thorough than we were with making your severe weather plan, you can go to ready.gov/makeaplan, link in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.